Hi, welcome to Sweet Dreams Wellness Travel. I am Barbara Tuckett, your host and the owner of Sweet Dreams Travel. I am a wellness travel specialist. I believe that our mind, body, and spirit all play into our well-being, and I create travel experiences which improve your wellness so that you return from your vacation with more health, more happiness, and more connection, both with those you've traveled with and also with your destination. In these episodes, I explore travel and wellness experiences, giving you ideas and recommendations, and also interviewing people who have firsthand experience of the places where you may want to go next. Welcome, let's get started. Hi, I hope you're doing great, and I am so happy to have you on another episode with me. Today's episode is must-do experiences for your next trip to New York. Now, if you have not ever been to New York, hopefully today you will get kind of excited to visit the Big Apple. And this episode is all about big fun in the Big Apple. Some things to do and see and experience while you are there. So, why is it called the Big Apple? Have you ever wondered? It has to do with horse racing. The Big Apple was used to describe the prize money that was given for horse races that were held around the city in the 1920s. And it just stuck. So now the city is known as the Big Apple. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, if you have never been to New York, I love New York City. I have been there a handful of times, and it's just so fun. Each experience is a little bit different because there's so much to do and see. But hopefully today I will give you a little taste of what you can see and do in the city, and you'll be excited for your next trip there. So let's talk a little bit about the environment, the culture of the city. So for decades, New York has been the home to creative thinkers and inspiring artists. And of course, Broadway has its home in New York, but you also can see all kinds of artwork all around the city in alleyways and all kinds of ways that the New York artist culture has an impact on the city. So there's dazzling theater stages, there's one-of-a-kind murals, world-famous museums, and all of this is found right here in one place. So whether you are looking for the classics or something more modern, there is something for you in New York. So that is one of the things that makes New York City so exciting, is it just has such a broad range. Another thing about New York City, so many movies, so many TV shows have been based here, and New York has been the backdrop for, I don't even know, countless episodes of shows and countless movies, everything from Breakfast at Tiffany's to The Avengers, from old movies to more modern movies. New York was like made for the movies. And all you have to do is walk around the Upper West Side and you can feel like Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City, or have a Gossip Girl moment at the Upper East Side hotspots. There's just so many places that you may recognize or that might seem familiar to you just because of shows or movies. An average of 153 movies and TV shows are filmed in New York every single year. That is crazy, right? It's so easy to visit some of your favorite film locations while you are there. So that is another reason to visit New York City, just to see some of your favorite spots. So just for a second, I want to highlight the Guggenheim. The Guggenheim is an art museum. It is one of the leading art museums in the world. It's renowned for its stunning architecture, featuring a sleek silhouette. And so the shape of the museum and the architecture of the museum is just as famous as the artwork that is inside. One of the museum's key elements is this huge rotunda, which is topped by this beautiful skylight. And if you're watching the video, you can see a picture of it here. And a spiral ramp leads the visitors through the museum, allowing people to visit the art and view it all without running into everybody else and getting all congested, like at a lot of other museums. So the Guggenheim is a really fun place if you are interested in art or just want to see some really fun architecture. Let's talk about some other landmarks in the city. Of course, we cannot talk about New York landmarks without mentioning the Statue of Liberty. Lady Liberty has welcomed people to New York and the United States for over 100 years. It was given to the US as a gift from France, and she was officially presented October 29th of 1886. When she arrived, she was this shiny copper color, but it took about 20 years for her, this patina to come on her, and now she is this fun green color, which the copper has turned because of the weather. And so now she is, so ever since then, she has been the color she is now. The 7 spikes on her crown represent the 7 continents and 7 oceans, which signifies the universal concept of unity. Until 1916, visitors were allowed to climb up as high as her torch, so clear up to the top. But now the highest you can climb is the crown, which is still really high. And you can see some amazing views of the city if you climb up to her crown. So another landmark just across the river is the 9/11 Memorial. And of course, this was built in the location that the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers were. And this pays tribute to all of those who lost their lives as part of that tragedy. There is also a newer monument downtown that you may want to find. It is the statue of the fearless girl, which is staring up at a figure of a charging bull, and that is right on Wall Street. So that's kind of a fun little sidelight. If you are downtown, you may run into this little statue. Another landmark is Radio City Music Hall. Radio City Music Hall is the home to the famous Radio City Rockettes, and it has been a legendary theater and a concert venue since it opened in 1932. So it's got this really kind of crazy Art Deco style vibe to it. And it has hosted premieres of hundreds of movies, including King Kong and Breakfast at Tiffany's, is where these 2 movies first premiered. It's hard to imagine New York without the Rockettes and the music hall, but back in the 1970s, this building was almost torn down and converted into office space. Luckily, it was saved, and it was then later designated as an official New York City landmark. So now it is safe and will be around for a long time to come. Another landmark in the city is called the Flatiron Building. This is a crazy, crazy looking building. It's right in the middle of Manhattan, dividing Broadway and Fifth Avenue. And it was this building that was constructed in 1902, and it was, of course, this incredible architectural feat. It's 22 stories, so it wasn't ever the tallest building in New York. It's not like, that's not its distinction, but it definitely had the most dramatic design, especially in 1902 when nobody was doing anything even remotely like this. So this building is super narrow. It's this little, small, narrow building in some places. Its narrowest point only measures 6 feet wide. Seriously, it's so cool. This building has served as various office spaces for over a century, and it's also, of course, the perfect backdrop for a great picture if you are in this area, right in the middle of Manhattan. So it's a great place to look up and visit and take a picture by. So another really famous and amazing and fun landmark in the city is Grand Central Station. Walking into Grand Central Terminal is like stepping back into the glamorous golden age of travel. It just has that timeless feel of this huge train station. So opening in 1871, Grand Central was and still is the largest train station in the world. So that's cool. Go visit it just because it's the largest in the entire world. It is spread across 49 acres. It has 44 platforms and 67 tracks, has a food court. It even has a tennis court. The clocks in Grand Central Station are possibly the most iconic features as well as the most expensive features. There are clocks all over the building. All of the clocks in the station are 1 minute fast. So that gives you an extra 60 seconds to make your train, which I think is really fun. And outside the building, looking south on Park Avenue, is the world's largest Tiffany and Company glass clock, which is 13 feet in diameter. So that is another site to take a picture in front of if you happen to be in the area of Grand Central Station, which I would totally recommend. It's such a cool place to visit. Of course, we cannot talk about New York City without mentioning Central Park. Central Park is a very popular destination for native New Yorkers, also for all kinds of tourists, of course. It just feels like this very peaceful escape from the city. And it's just right in the middle of the city, and yet it's this huge oasis. It was constructed in the mid-19th century, and it was the whole country's first major landscaped public park. So it was the first of its kind, for sure. Before it was made into a park, it was the location of a small village. And despite Central Park's well-manicured fields and paths now, it wasn't always as, nicely maintained as it is today. In the 70s, it fell into disrepair and it was neglected for over a decade. But luckily, beginning in the 80s, they started to restore it and preserve it, and they really started to, honor it for the space that it is. So Central Park is amazing. I would definitely recommend visiting Central Park when you are in the city. Okay, you also cannot visit the city without trying some of the street food. Holy cow. Hot dog stands, soft pretzels, bagels, roasted nuts. Like, there's so much street food in New York that is so amazing. If you're in the mood for ice cream, chase down Mr. Softy, which is one of the most beloved ice cream trucks in the city. If you don't mind waiting, the Challah guys are the pioneers of New York street food. They had a single cart in Midtown, and now they have many food carts, and they are one of the most famous street food carts in the city. Another honorable mention where food is concerned in New York, be sure to include a world famous slice of pizza in New York. The first pizza joint in all of America opened in New York City in 1895. So you can see that New York has a lot of firsts for things in America. And so make sure that you save some room, some time to try some amazing street food in New York City. Don't miss out on that. Getting around. Of course, we cannot talk about New York without mentioning how you get around in New York. Yellow cabs in Manhattan are part of just the city's makeup. They just come part of it. They are a great way to get around the city. But if you are trying to move quickly from uptown to downtown or something like that, your very best bet is to hop on the subway. I think navigating the subways is at first pretty overwhelming because there's so much of it. But once you get the hang of it, you get a good couple good subway maps and you are good. Like, you are golden. And subways are an amazing way to get around the city. And you don't even have to worry about traffic. You just have to be pretty efficient at getting on and off at the right places. If you get off at, a stop late, then you can go back or you can walk back, which leads me to the best way, I think, to get around in New York, if you can, is on foot. It's so fun to walk through the city on foot. You feel like you're just in the center of the whole city life. You can explore, you can discover, you can just you can find some great restaurants. I have found some really great kind of like little hole in the wall type restaurants just by being on foot. And you're hungry when you're out and about, and you just duck into somewhere local, and it's just amazing. It can be just so great, such a great experience. So getting around in New York is really fun. All right, let's talk about the bridges. Before becoming the most important and well-known city in the world, New York and the surrounding area was all swampland, seriously. And as it began to grow and develop, so did the need to travel in and out of the island. So once the automotive industry took off, bridges began popping up all over the city. Today, there are 11 bridges that lead onto the island of Manhattan. Did you know that Manhattan is an island? It is. And of those 11 bridges, the Brooklyn Bridge is probably the most famous, of course. The Brooklyn Bridge opened in 1883. It was the world's first steel wire suspension bridge, and it was the longest bridge in the world for almost 20 years. So pretty cool. In a stunt one time on the Brooklyn Bridge, to prove how sturdy it was, 21 elephants crossed the bridge from Manhattan to Brooklyn. So I think that's a fun story too. Can you imagine 21 elephants parading across the bridge just to show how strong it was? That would have been a fun spectacle. So don't assume that you cannot visit New York City when it's cold. During the winter, New York takes on a whole new persona. It is so great. It's such a fun place to visit in the winter. Walking in Central Park when it's covered in snow is such a winter wonderland. There are holiday lights decorating every building, and the city just feels so magical and just has such an air of magic and mystery. There are ice skating rinks that pop up all over the place, which is such a fun experience to glide over the ice with a view of the skyscrapers all around you. And it's fun to just walk through the streets and the parks and then, just duck into a little cozy little restaurant or somewhere to warm up at the end of a cold day. So winter in New York is also a really fun idea. So I thought I would highlight just a possible 4-day, 4-night itinerary that I could put together for you in the city. So this is just kind of a high-level overview of some things that you could do and what a trip to New York might look like. On day 1, you arrive in New York. Your transportation to your hotel is included from any of the New York airports. So you could fly into JFK or LaGuardia or Newark. You could check into the Millennium Hotel, Broadway, Times Square. This is a really fun place right in the heart of Times Square, right in the middle of the theater district. The rooms have floor-to-ceiling windows, flat-screen TVs, mini bars, and Wi-Fi. So just a really great location. There's a Pan-Asian restaurant, which serves breakfast, and a casual bar and a lounge that have like other light bites. Amenities at the property include a gym and then the landmark Hudson Theater right at the property. So on this day, day 1, you would be arriving, but also entrance to your choice of one of these options would be included today. You could go to the Guggenheim Museum, take a ferry to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island, or go on it's called a circle cruise, a river cruise that is a sightseeing cruise around the area. So that would be the start to your New York trip. On day 2, you can explore the city with day 1 of your 3-day hopper pass. It allows you to hop on and hop off throughout the city at whatever attractions that you want to. So it's a fun way to get around and see different sites. On this day, you would get entrance to one of these options: the Empire State Building, the American Museum of Natural History, or the Top of the Rock Observation Deck. So you could choose kind of what you do on that day. Day 3, this is a fun day. You can use, obviously, the second day of your hopper pass because you've got a 3-day pass. And then also you get choice of entertainment of doing a Broadway show. At the Broadway show, you would have like mid-orchestra or front mezzanine seating. So it's not like front row seating, but it's really nice, a really nice area for seating. You could see a Yankees baseball game if they are in town, and you would be sitting on the first or third baseline, which is a great spot also. Or you may choose to go to the Rockettes Christmas Spectacular in the winter. It is available in November and December. So you could choose one of those fun options on this day. On day 4, this is your full final day in New York. And obviously you can use your hopper pass again, choose between the getting into the 9/11 Memorial and Museum, or the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. There are just some really great options that you could finish up your trip with on this day. Of course, anytime during your trip, you can see Central Park, you can see all of the other landmarks that I have mentioned. Day 5, this would be just the basically wake up and check out of your hotel. You would have transportation back to the airport and fly home. So I could put together a similar itinerary like this for as few as 2 nights. Like I could just, if you just only had a couple nights to spend in the city, I could totally put together something really similar, but it just would include 2 nights. Or up to, if you wanted to spend a week in the city, I could totally add on nights and we could add on way more experiences. Super customizable, whatever you would be wanting or looking for. So really fun to have a lot of your activities already kind of set in place and pre-planned, but have so much flexibility as to what you want to do every single day. Like you could just do it in whatever order you wanted to. And of course, we would pre-book your Broadway or your Yankees game or whatever of those components that you would want to do. So a fun trip. Now, you might be wondering, I'm all about wellness travel, and you might be hearing all of this and wondering, what does New York City have to do with wellness? What does it have to do with improving your connection? Well, I can think of so many ways that New York City is a great wellness destination. First of all, I believe that wellness is about connecting, and New York is a great place to connect with. So you will feel connection to so many places in the city. There are so many options. I can't imagine not feeling connected to this place. The Statue of Liberty brings me this huge sense of connectedness. And also the 9/11 Memorial does as well, a similar. I feel so connected to people who have gone before me and have made my life as blessed as it is. They have paved the way for me. I feel connected to those in my country who were changed by all the events of 9/11, like we all were. I give me such a sense of connection. I love feeling connected to the actors on a Broadway stage and connected to their energy and their life and just their passion for their work. I love Grand Central Station. I love its size. I love the history of it. I love that knowing that this place connects us to so many destinations. It can just be really a connector. I love Central Park. If you haven't experienced this huge park within a city, you cannot imagine this calm and green and just amazing sense of peacefulness that it brings to the busyness of the traffic and the skyscrapers. It's fun to rent a bike in Central Park. Just brings such a wonderful sense of well-being to hang out for a while in Central Park. And of course, I could always give you some great ideas for spa days or fun, relaxing, kind of take a break from all the sightseeing, and you could do a spa experience somewhere in the city. So wellness is all about connecting with yourself and with others and with places. And so you can feel such a sense of connection with whoever you are sharing this adventure with and with the place you are. And it's very, very easily a wellness destination. So in conclusion, put New York City on your bucket list. I want to go back. Talking about it just makes me so happy and feel like, I got to plan my next trip to New York. If you haven't ever been, definitely put it on your list and let me know when you're ready to visit. I can help connect you with some great experiences. I really would love to help you get there. So thanks for being with me today, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share, subscribe, or leave a review. If you'd like to contact me about a vacation, the best way is to visit my website, sweetdreamstravel.net. To connect on social media, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, or LinkedIn. See you next time.